Yo, 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 what is going on, COD Familia? It is your boy BN, aka Mr. Kingdom Builder, and I got a hot topic for you today. I'm going to break down and explain to you why it is exactly that fighting in PvP earlier than you most likely should be is detrimental and damaging your overall player progression. It's gonna be a good one, as always. So let me first start off with kind of breaking down this foundation. Let's set the stage appropriately. So we're not saying that any and all fighting is bad and that players who are not T5 yet should never fight. What we're simply going to explain to you so that way you as a player can make an educated and informed decision on when it is appropriate for you to fight, where you feel like you're either able to impact and make a difference, or we should say or you are going to get something out of it in return. You're going to gain some knowledge, get some experience, have it be worthwhile. Maybe you're going to gain some PvP points as an example. Starting off with pretty much how this I don't want to say argument, but this topic is really done properly, is we have to look at resource streams of incoming and outgoing. So, and for the most part, really outgoing. So let's divvy this up, right? What are all of the things that you spend resources on, right? So let's kind of go over this. You have buildings, which technically is 2 if you end up unlocking. You have at minimum 1 research queue, but for those that have unlocked or reached a certain VIP level, right, that becomes 4. So that is something that is attainable from free to play, right? So you have 4 streams of income that you are spending resources on already. Then you have to look at training. Well, you have 5 training grounds, right? So, okay, now we have to do this. Let me just see. So that's 9 outgoing resources. Then you have to think about healing. Well, is there a chance that maybe you'll use some RSS healing, even if you're not investing into increased or additional RSS healing from your policies? Sure. Okay. So you have 10 outgoing resources currently. And this is something that when you think about using the amount of incoming resources that you have on all of these outgoing streams of investment into your account, what are by far, right? Now we kind of have to get to like, okay, let's ask, what's question 2? Question 2 is, or point 2 is, well, what are the most important buildings, if you will, the most important outgoing streams that focus predominantly on PvP, right? Like what's going to get us the most tangible type results, where we're going to see the most satisfaction, where we're really going to be able to prepare our accounts more for PvP. Well, that's going to come in more for things like your barracks and then your hospitals. So the idea being that you want to reduce the amount of outgoing resource streams, so that way what is left is focusing more on the PvP side. So an example of this, which kind of leads us to point 3, on what exactly are those? Well, one argument can be made that you could wait or hold off on going out there and fighting in wars or even some of the organized PvP until and the organized PvP is kind of iffy because that's probably a little more worthwhile, so to speak, because most of the time if they're organizing something like that, or it's being done where you can like earn some merits and whatnot, depending on what tier level you have, right, you may weigh that a little bit more in favor than versus kind of all-out war. But if you were to max out, let's say, all of your buildings at 25, and you either maxed out your tech for T5 or you maxed it out for max T4, right, just before T5. Now what you've done is you've essentially eliminated 4 streams of income with or outgoing resources, right? So what this means is that now, because you have to keep in mind that the amount of RSS income that you're getting on a daily basis is constant, right? The only thing that varies is depending on how often you log in and when you're able to kind of catch your gatherers from coming back, right? And again, we're talking more in this kind of like free to play sense, not necessarily where you're just spending, a boatload of money, maxing out RSS and things like that. That can help you in those, or bundles, right? That can help you in that kind of endeavor with RSS. So now you've gone essentially from 10 to now 6, right? If you've maxed out your buildings and you've either maxed out tech or you've maxed T4 your tech right before T5. So that's almost half. And now all of your RSS income, instead of being spread throughout buildings and tech, is immediately going into what? Well, all of your PvP buildings, which is your 5 barracks and then your hospital if needed, right? And you can kind of say a hospital, give or take here, but at minimum 5, right, at most 6. But now you're at a point where you're not having to split the attention. This kind of gets us into point 4, which is that this is why the game itself is in a way kind of baiting you, right? Like it's kind of trapping you, where it's the approach is almost kind of looking at this game like WoW, right? One of the things that I always get told in WoW is that I should avoid like doing anything that isn't like hard focusing my character on getting to a max account, right? Like I should get my character to a max account, and then that's when like the fun really starts, or I can really start enjoying more of the game. And this is what I've always been consistently told. And so I in a way kind of view Kingdom Builders where I need to max my account out, where I have all my buildings at 25. I need to have my max tech, or at least be max T4. And then I feel like I can really start enjoying the game, because now I've reduced my amount of outgoing streams of RSS or streams of resources. I'm now able to focus purely on the PvP side of the game, which means that now has my full attention. I don't have to feel like because I'm having to kind of unnecessarily spend in other areas, and I'm not able to kind of min-max my account to that max building 25, max T5, or max research tech, or near max research tech, and then waiting to kind of get there because I've had to spend a week or a few weeks doing nothing but fighting. That's only stalling my progression. And so it is, again, a very interesting conversation to have, because for me, it just comes right back around on, well, why am I going to waste my time, right? And this kind of gets me to point 5, which is like the big conundrum here, which is, for me, the question I have, which is, well, why am I going to waste my time fighting when, if I do decide to fight, right, and we're talking more kind of that all-out war scenario, not necessarily if it's like an organized PvP type of endeavor, which then I think it's a little bit more of a 50-50 toss-up depending on what you want to do. But the question I pose to you, as much as I pose to myself, is, well, what's the point of fighting if the moment I start fighting, I'm immediately, like I'm at 100% rate of production here to get my buildings to 25, to get my research tech to max or near max. But the moment that I fight, now my efficiency, my production, which was at 100%, now dwindles to 90 or dwindles to 80 or 70 or 60 or 50. Because the longer I continue fighting and I'm not able to do those things, the longer it's going to take for me to feel comfortable getting to a point where I can just focus with relief on doing nothing but PvP. And also because I've reduced my outgoing resources, I'm now able to have longer sustainable PvP fights and engagement, because of the fact that now my constant amount of RSS income is going out to fewer, right, outgoing resource streams. So my question to you now, I guess this would be point 5 or point 6, but really, if anything, in conclusion, I'd love to hear what you think, right? Is what I'm saying make sense? Does it not make sense? Do you just not care? and you're just of the mindset where, look, if I just need to go fight, I'm going to fight. Or you know what? maybe after thinking about it a little bit more, it maybe does make a little sense. And you're like, okay, maybe Boss is onto something here. Maybe I should focus on min-max. Because I can tell you, if I was able, just in the first season, if I was able to focus solely on just doing nothing and again, I'm light spend at this point, but if I was a free to play and I was able, I don't want to say you could get to 25 buildings. I mean, I think the buildings is a little bit easier, and that's not to say all buildings, but like just getting to Castle 25 itself, I do think that can be attainable, right? Especially if you're at least in an active alliance. It doesn't mean you have to be in the top alliance, but at least an active alliance. And I do think there's a good chance you might be able to. I think Castle 24 probably more 23, 24 easier to attain, of course, but I do think there's the possibility for free to play to get at least to Castle 25, right? Even if that's the only building that is at 25 by the end of season 1. But like I said, it does just beg the question on do you because to me, like I said, it does, part of it really feels like this trap where because you're fighting so much, it's just delaying and taking you that much longer to get everything maxed that you need to, at least building and research wise, or as we've said, right, kind of top end or near max. And because of that, it directly factors into your ability to try and be as efficient as you can, right, when you're going out there and doing PvP. So yeah, so that's the question I'm going to pass to you, right? Do what side of the camp do you fall on? And obviously would love to hear your guys' thoughts, right? Maybe you have different opinions or different views than I do. And, I think for me, playing as long as I have, this is kind of the conclusion that I've come to. And this is one of the things that I do, like even on my main, I still have T1 troops because I'm trying to min-max my account as much as possible. And yeah, even though that kind of affects me being able to do some of the PvE parts, as far as advancing in Dragon Trail, being able to attack higher Darklings, etc., I'm also spending less resources on lower tier troops, which means I'm focusing my constant income of RSS into the primary areas, which is my building and my research tech. So it is interesting, right, with me kind of going through this trial, if you will. But like I said, I'll pass the question off to you. Let me know what you guys think. Right? Crazy, maybe making a little bit of sense. Would love to hear your thoughts in those comments down below. That's going to be it for me. As always, until next time, I will catch you later.